Nope. News Talk 710 KNUS in Denver.
And now on AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the Front Range, this is the Jeff and Bill Show. Coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to talk with Dana Charles. She's running for Colorado State Senate. This would be a flip in Senate District 3 down near Pueblo. Could Republicans get control of this? This is very, very close, Billy. In the last election, it was 1,700 votes in a state Senate district of 60,000 votes. 1,700.
And I've got friends and family that live in Pueblo.
Yep.
Some relatives of my wife's side of the family are down there, and I've got some friends from college down there and friends left over from when I worked down there. And yeah, it is a very interesting split inside the town, and I have heard more and more over the last couple of years that people that swore they would never vote for Republican, lifelong Democrats, have been choosing ours.
That's in part because the incumbent is a nut job down there. We'll talk about him with someone challenging Nick. Dana Charles is going to join us coming up here in just a second. Now is time for the news.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hump day, good Wednesday morning, 34 and sunny in Denver, 35 in the Springs, expecting highs in the low 50s today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story.
The rumor around the building is that a third of the legislation this year is going to be centered around energy and clean air, which is devastating for Colorado, as we've seen the extinction of oil and gas.
Ty Winter, Assistant Minority Leader at the state capitol, on with Jeff and Billy last hour, fighting for oil and gas and energy in our state. Great things could happen if we didn't buy into the woke excrement and slit our own wrists. Looking at you, lefties.
Coca-Cola wants to put one of the largest plants in the state in Colorado, and the word on the street is Exhal don't think they can get them the energy based on what we're going through in the state. So, we're going to be fighting that to make sure we keep energy affordable and businesses in Colorado. The attack on the Second Amendment, you all know Senate Bill 4 is, one more disaster that we have to face.
And Congresswoman Lauren Boebert on the show as well this morning.
There's a lot of funding in one of the spending bills. Now, this was 5 bills wrapped into one vote, and one of these bills was particularly egregious.
She talked about everything that you could imagine. The federal government shutdown has ended. The House narrowly passed a spending package, but Boebert didn't vote on it or vote for it because of some abortion and transgender garbage included.
And this is not something that I could put a yes vote to. So unfortunately, when that piece of legislation is wrapped up with everything else, it's really hard to vote for everything else as a whole. I am happy that the DHS was funded yesterday, but I would have loved to have seen that vote happen individually and separate that out.
DHS will operate on a 2-week stopgap bill. The sick oligarchs, elite class, rich, power-hungry pedos and freaks who run this stuff from Hollywood to D.C. being exposed after the Epstein files and all that was released on Friday. Actor Jim Caviezel, he talks about how he was canceled and blacklisted in Hollywood after he mentioned adrenochrome, harvesting this from abused children.
And the next day, I never heard from my agents, my agency for 14 months. My lawyers let me go. My agency never called me after that. And essentially, I was done. And so when we go and do movies like this, you spend a great deal of time with agents, working with them. I didn't realize the connection, though, to my industry and to Epstein Island and all of that. But obviously there is.
This is the great awakening that is happening.
Wait, adrenochrome with the Epstein Island?
Well, maybe
No,
somewhere
the
along
was
the way.
QAnon. The adrenochrome was QAnon. So I can see.
I think there's a crossover here.
Yeah, I think with respect that the actor Harry is getting his wires crossed, because he starts with the premise of a QAnon conspiracy theory and then delves into Epstein files. So again, it's a smorgasbord of interesting theories and thoughts. And maybe I just hesitate maybe that's why the agent didn't call him back, because he's combining the conspiracy theories. I'm just thinking out loud, maybe. Just
possibly.
But who knows?
There's a chance.
We will see. Maybe, hopefully, it'll be discussed on the next Candace Owens episode. We can always hope. We can hope.
Oh, no doubt.
Yes.
And speaking of Candace, she posted, people who watch her show knew this months ago. They found 5 sets of prints on the Tyler Robinson gun in the Charlie Kirk case. She says every piece of the official story is ridiculous. Prosecutors called a lead agent to the stand Tuesday who claimed DNA evidence was found was from Robinson.
You mentioned the DNA evidence. You're certainly not a DNA expert. Is that correct?
I'm not, no.
And are you aware that the DNA evidence that was seized from the scene consisted of a mixture of at least 5 different individuals?
I'm not a DNA expert, so.
So you know enough to say what helps him, but you're not going to answer whether or not there were 5 individuals mixed into that DNA.
I'm not aware of that, no.
Okay. And you're certainly not qualified to interpret complex DNA mixtures, are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Stand by, caller. More to come. Sharks at the Avalanche tonight. Nuggets lose to the Pistons 124-121 on the road in Detroit. And at the Knicks tonight at 5 o'clock. 34 in the Springs, 35 in Denver. More of the Jeff and Bill show coming up on News Talk 710 KNUS in Denver, and now on AM 1460 and FM 101.1. The Answer in Colorado Springs, all along the Front Range. This is the Jeff and Bill show. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Good morning, folks, and a very good Wednesday to everyone. Your KNUS forecast calls for cool and dry, pleasant wintertime and early February weather conditions here today on the backside of yesterday's small weather system. Going to be looking at clear to mostly clear skies and temperature readings running several degrees above average. High pressure going to expand across the western United States then over the next several days and start to shift eastward. And this is going to keep ourselves all across the Front Range and central Colorado in a very mild, a well above average temperature pattern and also a dry temperature pattern. Highs today near 50 for the Denver metro area and Colorado Springs. Nighttime lows in the upper 20s and lower 30s. Middle to a few upper 60s for highs then for the metro area as we work our way into Thursday, Friday, and this weekend with low 60s for the Colorado Springs area. Nighttime lows low to mid 30s. I'm meteorologist Mark Huer in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
News Talk 710 KNUS in Denver.
And a big welcome to all of our new listeners on AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. Thank you so much for getting up with us.
All along the Front Range, this is the Jeff and Bill Show. All right, there's a dweeb down in Pueblo.
I love
His
that
name
term.
is Senator Nick Heinrichsen, I think is how you pronounce it. I don't know. I've engaged back and forth with this guy on X for years. And if you had if you thought of a dweeb as a senator, this is the guy that perfectly encapsulates it. In part because he's out there fighting for the rights of men to compete in women's sports. He thinks it's really important. Scientific truth that men can go in and just crush women in their sports, and he doesn't have any problem with it. And I've gone back and forth with him about how is this really scientific in your world. And if you want to go follow me on X, it's x.com/Jeff Hunt. This guy's terrible. He's a quintessential progressive, destroying the state of Colorado. And thank God, Dana Charles is here to stop the reign of this state senator down at the state capitol and turn things around, bring some common sense to the state capitol. She joins us now. Dana Charles, thank you for joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yes, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Thank you both for having me on. Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Bill. What an exciting morning to be able to spend some time with you guys today. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad to have you here. I know just the fact that you have a beating heart, you're better than the state senator that's currently down there. But explain to us why you are better than Nick Heinrichsen to represent the people of Pueblo at the state capitol.
Thank you. That's a great question. And I will tell you that I fully believe that I have pushed out the incumbent, Senator Heinrichsen, who is a radical leftist, from running again. Quite honestly, I am fed up. Pueblo is fed up. And so I stepped up. And that's really the simple answer. I have been active peripherally for decades. I am a voter, a donor, an activist, a mom, and a community member. But what I'm not is a politician. And so this has been a bit of an interesting turn. It certainly wasn't on the long-term plan. But sadly, I became utterly frustrated, disgusted, and almost angry at policies that I saw coming through the Colorado State Legislature. Policy that wasn't doing anything for the things that matter to Pueblo. Crime is rising, affordability. Furthermore, these policies are infecting the entire state of Colorado, and my senator is out there voting for this crap. So I started to wonder why my voice and the voice of others were not being represented at the state capitol. So again, increasing my frustration with how things were going. The thought of becoming more active certainly entered my mind, but I wasn't sure how I was going to make that happen. My frustration and disgust were affirmed when I was called to a little bar in Pueblo, Colorado, to meet some community members. I won't divulge the name and location, but I've since been told that it is the place where the decisions are made. And that was when I was approached to run for this seat. I certainly had a fire in my belly to run for it, but wanted to make sure that we had a clear path to victory. I think you are all aware that we lost this seat by 1,700 votes in the last election, and this is a very flippable seat. So once the path to victory was explained, and we've had a lot of support from the Pueblo community, Pueblo's fed up, and I stepped up, and that's the simple answer.
That's Dana Charles, and Dana, she's running for state senate, District 3 in Colorado, represents Pueblo. Look, Pueblo's changed. In my time here in Colorado, born and raised here, Pueblo for a long time was this kind of reliably blue stronghold in southern Colorado, primarily because of unions and workers at the steel plant down there. But we've watched it really embrace kind of MAGA Trump worldview of, the globalization that's happening is not helping our communities. They want to see jobs brought back. Blue-collar workers that embrace the president make up a good portion of Pueblo. And then they tend to get represented at the state capitol by wildly progressive socialists. That's got to change. I think you tend to be the person to bring that change. Tell us what you're hearing from the voters and why you think they're ready to make that shift to a Republican in what was historically a more, union blue community.
Yep, you are spot on, but I think that Colorado, and particularly Pueblo, but Colorado is reaping the negatives of this single-party rule. It comes in the form of lack of affordability, more money out of our pockets, more regulations, and fewer rights. And that's not how I am, and that's not how I'm going to serve. We have seen some really bad legislation that, again, our senators and representatives that purport to represent Pueblo have been voting for. And some of those issues are, the HB 191225, soft on crime, the SB 25003, trashes our Second Amendment and the Constitution, HB 221326, more soft on crime. And we are living in this every single day in Pueblo. And, I think that we need to make the policy more important than the politics. And it's time for change, and the Pueblo community has really stepped up. We are about a third of the way to our fundraising goals, so about 30%. We certainly have had the generous support of the Pueblo community, but always, races cost money, and would love to have your listeners go to danacharles4colorado.com and get us over that finish line. It's time for change, and Pueblo is definitely ready for that.
And this would be a key pickup for Republicans, so this would be a flip. We're talking with Dana Charles. She's a Republican candidate seeking to flip Senate District 3. Its current senator, the dweeb Nick Heinrichsen, who believes that men should be able to just pummel girls in women's sports, withdrawing. It looks like your candidate now moving forward, maybe Taylor Voss. I don't know the Democrat primaries that well. Maybe there's somebody else down there that's going to take the lead here. But why are you better than them? Are they just going to continue kind of these progressive policies, or are they moderate Democrats? What's your read on the Democrat primary there?
No, it is more of the same old policy. So right now we are about a three-way, I think we're in a three-way possible primary on the other aisle for this seat. And their mindset is no different than any of the others that have been representing us. The same mindset that voted for and supported all of the bills that I just rattled off. And Pueblo deserves better. We want hope. We want change. And quite honestly, we need to look at policy over personalities, policy over politics. I believe there are at least 51% of the voters in Pueblo County that see things the way that I do, and that's absolutely why I'm going to win. The single-party rule is a problem, and any of these three gentlemen on the other side, again, they are purporting to represent the Pueblo community, but I don't think the record shows that. Their mindset is no different than Senator Heinrichsen.
Dana Charles, candidate, Colorado Senate District 3. You can learn more about Dana at danacharles4colorado.com, danacharles4colorado.com. Dana, give us a sense of kind of your legislative agenda. You only get a handful of bills to introduce. What would be your top priorities?
That's a wonderful question. I think we have to take a look at the affordability issues in Colorado, and particularly in Pueblo. Crime and safety. We're looking at between 700 and 1,000 bills that are being run every single session, and possibly 500 of those actually go through. That's a lot of new bills that are coming through in Colorado. And so we really need to possibly take a look at pulling back on some of these rules and regulations. Unfortunately, Republicans are continuously being discounted because of the one-party rule. And I'm going to ensure that my constituents have a voice in representative government and have a voice in Pueblo. You know, Senator Heinrichsen many times is really missing in action. And so he purports to represent Pueblo as he crosses that Denver line, but then votes very, very differently. And so when I'm at the legislature, you know, we're going to have representative government, and the Republican voice is no longer going to be discounted at the state capitol.
Dana Charles, learn more about her at her website, DanaCharles4Colorado.com, DanaCharles4Colorado.com. A very important pickup for Republicans. 1,700 votes separates this. This reduces the Democrat power at the state capitol. Be sure to give her a follow, support her, and let's get her across the finish line. Dana Charles, thank you for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yes, thanks for your time.
Oh, thank you both. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very, very much. Could use the support. Again, go to my website, and this is a very flippable seat. It is the #1 targeted state Senate seat right now, and we can turn this seat red.
And the dweeb is gone. See ya, Nick Heinrichsen. Dana Charles is going to be filling that seat much better than Nick did. All right.
Yeah, have a good day,
We'll
Dana.
continue. All right, let's talk the gun room. If you've listened to me for any amount of time, you know I care deeply about freedom, responsibility, and supporting local businesses that have stood the test of time. That's why I want to tell you about the gun room. The gun room is Denver's oldest firearms dealer since 1982. And when you walk in, you feel it. Real wood, real craftsmanship. A shop that actually looks like a gun store. Less plastic, more tradition. They buy, sell, and consign any and all firearms from antique, vintage to hunting and tactical. They do something the big box stores never will. They work closely with families that have lost a loved one and need help handling a gun collection with care and respect. Inventory changes daily. They have over 1,000 firearms in stock. Isn't that amazing? This is the place to shop, especially with new restrictive laws coming down the road. I really have loved getting to know Wayne and his wife. This is a man of deep faith, loves this country, loves this state, is willing to put up with all of the challenges coming from the state capitol, restricting your Second Amendment rights so that you can get that firearm to keep your family safe. You got to check out the gun room at denvergunroom.com. denvergunroom.com. Support a local family-owned Colorado business. Support freedom. Here's their website, 303-237-1300, 303-237-1300, denvergunroom.com. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
And now we are here on AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. All on the Front Range, this is The Jeff and Bill Show.
back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We are on News Talk 710 KNUS in Denver.
And giving a big good morning and welcome to all of our new listeners, AM 1460, FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
So 2 stories on TikTok, Billy, or TikTok, libs of TikTok, that have to do with Colorado. Where do we want to talk first? The teachers or the law enforcement?
No. I did want to take just 1 second here to wrap up something we had talked about in recent past, and that would be the relationship between the Cherry Creek School District Superintendent and the head of HR. The head of HR this week being placed on administrative leave after the husband was, he issued his retirement, rather shockingly, in the middle of the school year, which normally doesn't happen. So draw into that what you think the email said. Did they say, we wish him well in his next endeavors? That'll probably give you a clue. But now the wife, who's the head of HR, being put on administrative leave. If I'm reading the tea leaves and just guessing, I have no really solid inside information. Once Tony Kowaleski's story over at KMGH came out, there was an internal investigation that was launched. They found something that contained legal exposure.
Yep.
That's my guess.
Yep.
That's my guess is what happened.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she was hired originally as HR director of Cherry Creek School District.
Yeah.
Then husband gets hired as superintendent. And they maintained that relationship, which is weird.
Yeah.
Not just the marriage, but
And remember that the school board had to create an exception to a rule that existed in the district because people in the district said, maybe this is a bad idea. And the school board said, we know better. Look where we are now.
But they're both so great. We got to have them both.
I know.
Then he becomes a disaster. They fire her. She's now on leave. And my alma mater, Cherry Creek School District, continues its march in decline.
I love the fact you threw that in there, my friend. Okay, now continue with the other stories we got.
I often joke when people are like, Jeff, you're so dumb. Like the text messages come through all the time.
Yeah,
I just remind them I was educated by the government. It's not my fault.
I love that about you.
All right. Let's talk this.
What do you want to do?
The police officer.
Oh, this. Oh, dude. When you found
wild.
this, I was like, holy crap.
Libs of TikTok. By the way, Libs of TikTok has this great focus on Colorado right now because we provide so much content. All right.
So, our show does so well, too.
There's a police officer up in Erie. Okay?
Yeah.
And she posts online, allegedly advocating for the murder of ICE agents, saying they wear body armor so headshots would work better. She posts online.
Yeah.
Just a good way to get a couple holes in the chest of ICE agents. They wear body armor so headshots would work better, she responded. And that didn't go over well. And the latest update is that person is no longer employed with Erie.
Now, question.
Please.
Are you surprised to find that feeling in Erie? And what I mean by that is normally we talk about the concentration of more liberal thought and ideas in the large urban areas. Yet Erie, that's super rural. So what do you think about someone that's not only there in Erie having this sentiment, but also being involved in law enforcement? For me, that didn't track at all based on what I would expect.
Yeah, right. And law enforcement, like really, right? So
exactly.
Have you ever done a ride-along?
Yes. Yes, I have.
I have too.
And
I've done
one that was not voluntary. That's for another story. That's a different day.
The force. Were you in the back of the car, Bill?
Possibly, but again, I'm worried my mom's listening, so we'll discuss that a different day.
So the best man at my wedding is a sheriff's deputy out in California, and when I hang out, we do ride-alongs. And it was such a surreal experience because everybody is watching you.
Yes.
Right? Like I go about my daily business, just nobody cares who I am. I'm just another car going by. But when you're a cop car and when you're out doing stuff, everybody watches you.
Yeah.
So
it's as if you were in a bright yellow Lamborghini. With the stereo turned up too loud.
So you already have this sense of like this heightened awareness of like, I'm being watched, I'm being watched, I'm being watched. And then I can't imagine going to work as law enforcement knowing that the risks that you face on a daily basis and then posting a comment on how best to kill an ICE agent and then expecting that that's not going to be a problem.
Yeah, the part that I got it's the under your own name. That's a part we've seen so many other people adopting another persona or something online. One of the most prominent being dude that goes by the name Cat Turd. Somehow that's an online influencer now, and that's the name. Yet the officer in Erie used their birth name on the comments and
Haley Hazel Shimko.
Yeah, Shimko. Yeah, I just
Shimko.
The idea
Shimko.
of connecting those two. I'm going. Did you not pause for at least 30 seconds, regardless of the fact that what you are saying is absolutely abhorrent and shouldn't be uttered by anybody? The idea that you're attaching your own name to that and then layer in that you're a law enforcement officer?
Dude, you clearly haven't seen
What
Libs
the
of TikTok.
hell?
There's so much information out there just from people making stupid comments and filming themselves.
geez.
Here's the response from the town of Erie Police Department.
Yes,
the Erie
please.
Police Department is providing an update regarding the internal administration investigation referenced in our January 25th, 2026 community statement. On that Sunday, the police department was made aware of a concern involving a sworn employee's comments on their social media profile. The external complaint submitted by a resident expressed concern about rhetoric unbecoming of an officer, which is exactly right. Upon learning of the allegation, the department immediately initiated an internal investigation in accordance with department policy. The Erie Police Department coordinated with town management, human resources, and notified the FBI due to the nature of the comment. After a thorough investigation, the chief determined there were multiple violations of department directives. The officer is no longer employed with the Erie Police Department. Well done. The Erie Police Department is committed to lawful, ethical, and professional policing. Our responsibility is to ensure public safety while holding our employees accountable to department directives, the public's trust, and the values of our police department. We recognize that serving this community is a privilege, and we do not take that responsibility lightly. There you go. All right.
Good job on the town of Erie. At
I
least
agree
stepping
with
up
that.
quickly and doing it. Again, I can't. I have a hard time wrapping my head around this one. And again, okay, kids, let's review this on the Jeff and Bill show here in the morning. Doesn't directly apply to what the officer did, but just a reminder, we do not film or take pictures of any of our illegal activities. And if we are doing something that maybe we shouldn't, we do not share it on social media. All right, go about your day.
Oh, all right, let's go to the phone lines. Jim in Denver. Good morning, Jim. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Hey, yeah, that headshots quote, that's from G. Gordon Liddy. It's been out there for a long time. He said that government agents should be shot in the head because of their body armor.
What do you think about the fact that we have a law enforcement officer in Erie expressing that thought about other law enforcement officers?
I think there's hypocrites everywhere. Some people deserve the government's money, other people don't. No, he obviously has some mental issues if they actually believe that. They're probably just out there spouting off because the internet makes it so easy for everybody to just talk their game all day long and play politics.
Now, Jim, I like where you're going with that because I think you've got something there. The idea that social media, one, electronic communication is always viewed and interpreted more harsh than real in-person communication, but also it allows us an arm's length of distance in the conversation so that we can say or behave in manners that we normally wouldn't. Do you think that in some cases, some of the problems that we have, both just talking to us in society and also in politics, are in part a direct result of social media and how we talk to each other there?
Oh, our lives have become social media driven if you let it. I mean, don't forget that this G. Gordon Liddy quote about shooting government agents in the head because of their body armor. This guy was not a tree-hugging liberal. This guy was a conservative. This is a conservative quote. So let's make sure we understand where it came from.
Yeah. And
I don't think it's appropriate, though, but
no.
All right. Thanks,
Hey,
Jim.
Appreciate it, Jim. Thank you. Yeah.
Jim's line will be open if you'd like to jump in, 303-696-1971. Billy, More stuff coming from our friends at Libs of TikTok.
All right, what do you got now?
Colorado school slides teach students how to report ICE agents. On February 3rd, Jefferson County Open School in Lakewood purportedly presented materials in a required governance class using the military-style salute, S-A-L-U-T-E, method to observe group size, actions, locations, uniforms, time, and equipment of ICE agents. Posters provided a hotline number for the Colorado Rapid Response Network, which verifies ICE activity and coordinates response, alongside references to local signal chats and training. Local parent and regular on this show, Lindsay Datko, shared the photos, calling the content dangerous, while the district has not yet responded publicly amid calls from parents for staff firings and accountability. So there's a presentation on a slide on how to report ICE, looking at the facts that include things like undocumented immigrants are statistically less likely to commit violent crime than U.S. citizens. 73% of immigrants currently held in ICE detention facilities have no criminal records. ICE funding is currently comparable to the entire military budget of Canada. And ICE leadership has given officers the go-ahead to violate the Constitution. So this was all given, and then they had phone numbers and then tactics on how you can track and document ICE, appropriate for kids at the Jefferson County Open School in Colorado to be learning, Mr. Thorpe. You think?
Depends on the context and the presentation, because the stuff that they read as far as the facts, yeah, those all seem to fit, especially given
ICE leadership's given officers to go ahead to violate the Constitution.
Yeah, the ICE memo that was released 2 weeks ago that said they don't have to respect the Fourth Amendment. As far as warrants and illegal search and seizure, they were directly told to ignore Fourth Amendment, that Fourth Amendment protections do not hold in this case, and they're also changing how they obtain warrants. Yeah, that would be a violation of the Constitution.
This is propaganda, pure and simple. And if you look at how Jeffco Open Schools is doing, Jefferson County Open Schools, not that great. 52% of students are proficient in reading. Only 27 are proficient in math. It's like the thesis that we have out there that these are just leftist indoctrination operations. They don't get to the basics of how to read and write, but they want to train you how to report ICE. They're just leftist indoctrination camps over and over again.
Based on those numbers, they are overperforming the state average on reading in English. They're overperforming there, and they're slightly under math scores, if I remember correctly. So it's not as if we can say it's a quote-unquote failing school based on those percentages. I'm just curious again about the context and the conversation involved, because if this was a conversation inside the government school about the role of ICE, that you have students that are expressing concern about what they're doing and the tactics in which they are taking, I think that's an applicable discussion, especially given certain tactics, certain armament, and certain weapons that we are seeing.
Bill, this isn't balanced. There's no effort there to showcase the great work that immigration is doing to enforce our laws that have been passed.
Do we know
all
that?
The peace, all that stuff.
Do we know
that's
that?
There. No.
No, but hang on. Do we know that? And what I mean by this is I don't know the context of how this was presented. I can see a world that this is presented only being one side. I can see a world in which someone's angry because this side is presented, but I can see a world in which both sides are presented. I can see a world inside of a government class where they've been talking about it, and you have kids that are worried about the enforcement actions of ICE, and you say, well, if you are worried about what they were doing, here are the rules, here are the things you can do, and if you need to, do this.
Not a chance that was happening. This was about training up little leftist activists to go out there and record everything ICE is doing. If you think that there was an effort to provide a balanced approach to immigration enforcement, brother, I got a bridge to sell you. It wasn't happening in these schools. This was about promoting activism. Well, feel free to join the conversation. Would love to hear from you. 303-696-1971. You have schools training our students to be anti-ICE activists. You have a law enforcement officer in Erie saying, don't shoot for the body, shoot for the head against ICE. Is this the state of Colorado right now, that we're just so progressive that we're pushing this agenda in every aspect of our lives against ICE? Prove me wrong. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Capitalist Law text line 720-819-5115. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I understand where you're coming on that one, but given their list of what they had in the facts, and I find it interesting that that was part of the post, none of those are incorrect.
They're completely one-sided.
But
they're completely. Where is it that talks about the lives that were lost by illegal immigrants? Instead, you get undocumented immigrants are statistically less likely to commit violent crime than U.S.
That's correct.
No, it's not.
Yes,
it's actually not at all, because the illegal immigrants that violent crime is coming up against are less likely to report it. So it's factually inaccurate. It is one-sided, and it's about training leftist
How much
activists.
is it underreported?
Nobody knows.
Well, how do we know that it is?
It's not reported, because we know it's not reported.
So we know it's happening, but we don't know how much it's happening.
Correct.
That sounds like you're telling me the Easter Bunny is going to show up over the weekend and drop eggs all over the house.
This is why they get so concerned about immigration enforcement, because they're not going to report the crimes. The victims aren't going to report crimes to Aurora PD, for instance, or Denver PD. So we have to maintain our sanctuary policies.
People reported crimes at the apartment complexes in Aurora.
Eventually, after Danielle Jurinsky got involved, but they know for a fact they're underreported crimes. So to make a claim to kids that it's a fact that undocumented immigrants are statistically less likely to commit violent crime, and to put this on a slide, and to not talk about anything, not talk about Lake and Riley, not talk about the people that have lost their lives to illegal immigrants, that would be a balanced presentation. It's not happening. Well, when I hear from you, join the conversation, 303-696-1971. More of the Jeff and Bill Show coming up. News Talk 710, KNUS in Denver.
And now on AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. All along the Front Range, this is the Jeff and Bill Show.
learn today, little Johnny at school? Oh, how to become an anti-ICE activist. Welcome to News Talk 710 KNUS in
Maybe
Denver.
what my Fourth Amendment rights are. And, of course, we are now joined by AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. Thanks for getting up with us.
Along the Front Range, this is the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yeah, and we fight sometimes.
Like
It's
right
always
now.
fun. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I
we
brought
do.
in my ice hat.
I know you did. I like that hat. I'm a little jealous.
What would the anti-ice hat be?
Oh,
You know what? I saw one. Deep Singh Badesha had it. Abolish ICE.
That's right. Yeah, the abolish ICE.
Abolish ICE.
Still.
So do you want to abolish ICE?
No. I think right now I just think that they're too big for their britches. I think that how we're going about this and the mechanisms we are using are more, sometimes I believe, are more based on intimidation than efficacy. And when I saw the memo about the higher-ups inside of ICE saying that you don't have to respect the Fourth Amendment, that if you believe, not if you know, but if you believe there is or could be an illegal immigrant inside a business or a home, you are supposed to take every opportunity in order to enter that home, regardless of what the law or Constitution says. That's worrisome. And when we have a department like ICE saying that they are not going to rely on judicial warrants, we had Speaker Mike Johnston in the last 48 hours saying that we shouldn't be relying on judicial warrants because they're too hard to get. That's part of the checks and balances. I can't imagine that someone that is a member of the GOP or a member of conservative thought thinks that if we have a Democrat in charge of the White House and the executive branch, that just getting approval from someone internally in that organization is justification enough to enter someone's home, because that's the structure they've implemented now, that someone inside of ICE can approve something that ICE wants to do. That would break the law. That's crazy. We have checks and balances for a reason.
Probable cause, Mr. Thorpe. Probable cause.
You go get a warrant. And that's the problem. You get a judicial warrant. They're talking about administrative warrants. Administrative warrants means I'm going to go ask my supervisor if I can do this thing. That's stupid. And that's not the proper process. And that's ignoring the checks and balances of the system that was brought up.
The proper process is to follow the rules. For years, we allowed millions to cross our border without any proper process. Then we said, you know what? We're not dealing with it anymore. You're costing us jobs. You're costing us education. You're costing us health care. You're costing taxpayer dollars, real money that belongs to families. Then we said, you got to leave. They didn't go. Then we said, all right, we will buy you a plane ticket. And by the way, give you $2,500. You got to go. They didn't go. So now we got to go, all right, we're going to get a little handsy now. Since it's very clear you're not going to leave, you made it abundantly clear to everybody else you're not going to follow the rules. You didn't follow the rules when you got here. You didn't follow the rules when we told you to leave. You didn't follow the rules when we told you that we would buy you a plane ticket. Now it's going to get a little handsy. You forced our hands on this.
That's an intentional mischaracterization. Because many of the people that have been picked up have been following the rules for years. Outside of the original sin of crossing the border, they haven't done anything necessarily illegal because they haven't gone sideways with law enforcement. That's what we're seeing over and over again. And I would say that even if you didn't want them here, it doesn't mean you get to suspend the Constitution and take away their rights because you don't want them here. That's something you don't get to do.
All right. Feel free to join the conversation. Welcome to the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yeah, we're
debate.
a lot of fun.
303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115, 720-819-5115. Do you think that the withdrawal from Homan, Bill, is going to temper things down? Do you see local leaders in Minneapolis and in Minnesota going, you know what, we'll allow you to come into jail and get the bad guys?
Here's the thing. I love the fact that you brought this up right here at the end, man. Appreciate this one, because I think that across the nation, this type of cooperation would go a long way for two reasons. One, it would allow the Trump administration to, in many ways, fulfill their promise of pulling the worst of the worst out of the country. And it's important because these are the easiest group of criminals to find. Part of the reason I feel that we are going around grabbing people out of hotels and stopping at the Home Depot parking lot is because of quota numbers. Finding the criminals, that's hard. Picking up the person that works at the restaurant, that's easy. So it's the path of least resistance. Now, when you make it easier to catch the bad guys, I'm pretty sure that those in charge of getting those bad guys and getting them out of here are going to focus there. You give them an actual place to go. I've always thought it's dumb inside of sanctuary cities to say the one thing that we're going to do is give sanctuary to those people that have broken the laws. I think that is a dumb thing, and I think it undercuts 99% of what people claiming sanctuary cities actually say they stand for. So I think this is a huge positive, and I think it will slow down and lower the temperature inside of Minneapolis. And I didn't think he even had to pull officers out. I think he could have left the same level as long as they change how it's enforced and they work with the people in the jails. I think he'd go a long way to making this thing better.
What do you do with the people that are here illegally that are not in jails, though? What is station on them?
It depends on how long they've been here and what's been going on, because for me, it's a gradient scale. I start with the people that are like breaking the laws and abusing us immediately right now. Those people that are involved in gangs, that are trafficking people, that are breaking into homes, that are doing, the B&E, that type of stuff. That's where I go. And then we start working up the ladder, and eventually we will get to the restaurant workers and the farm workers, and maybe we will have a solution by then that may be a hybrid. I would love to see a mixed visa.
At some point, are you okay with ICE getting handsy on those guys?
Not handsy, because what I'm looking at is I want a hybrid system. I want them to have a visa that allows them to stay here and then go home. If they need to come here to work for a time, I'm good with that. I just don't need you to be a permanent resident that way.
I like to treat everybody equally, and you have all equally broken the law. You all need to go. Deport them all. Deport them all.
This is why the show works. This is exactly it. Hope everyone's having fun this morning.
All right. More of the Jeff and Bill Show coming up tomorrow. News Talk 710, KNUS in Denver.
Yes, and now on AM 1460 in Colorado Springs. As you're listening, we do it differently than anybody else in the state and anybody else you're going to hear across the nation. Where else are you going to have open, honest, intellectual conversation like this, where, we will discuss everything nobody else wants to touch, and we'll do it with you. Have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow.